My name is María González Pendás. I'm a postdoctoral fellow in the Society of Fellows in the Humanities here at Columbia University and a lecturer in the Art History department. My dissertation is a history of architecture during the Franquista period in Spain in the 20th century. The title of my dissertation is Building Discourse, Architecture, Technocracy in Silence in Franquista Spain. I write a political history of buildings. That's sort of what my research deals with, is the intersection of architecture, meaning buildings and ideas about the built environment, with political and cultural processes. In particular, I look at the relationship of architecture with politics and religion, so the relationship of church, state, and buildings. And in my dissertation, I look at these dynamics during the mid-20th century in Spain and the ways in which buildings participated on the transitions of the Franquista regime as it moved from its origins as a fascist and military regime in the 40s to a more technocratic form of government in the 50s and 60s, and how a very particular type of architecture and architectural culture was part of this transition, in particularly as it became a sort of modernist architecture culture, where designers and buildings began to take the forms of modernism, meaning abstract forms, materials such as steel and glass, and other tropes of modernism coming from the early 20th century, and they were part of the cultural and political transitions of the regime. So one thing that has been missing from the historical narratives on modernism, architectural modernism, and processes of modernization, and something that I have found in the process of my research, is the significant role of religion in processes of modernization. The way I've become interested in this topic, it's deeply personal because I happen to be an architect, trained as an architect in Spain also. So I came to the topic of my dissertation as an architect, looking to learn more about the series of buildings that I have been looking at during my education and we have been revering in a way, and also with the mindset of a designer who wanted to sort of gather formal information to put back into my own designs. But in the process of doing that, I became a historian, a cultural and political historian, and these objects that I had been looking to learn more from became fascinating objects that unraveled historical, political, and cultural processes. The title of my next project is Godly Techniques, Architecture, Technology, and Catholicism at Mid-Century, and it's where I'm trying to expand my findings on the relationship between religion and modern architecture in Spain towards Latin America in particular, and look at the work of other architects that were developing new building technologies while building churches, and how these new forms of technology and aesthetics were put to the service of the redefinition of different churches across Latin America. In particular, I have been looking at the work of Felix Candela, who was a Spanish architect exiled during the Civil War, working in Mexico and developing technology of thin concrete shell roofs. He was very innovative and very popular at the time, and many of his buildings were churches. And I'm trying to find the relationship between these new technologies and a redefinition of Catholicism, and how these new forms of religion served the purposes of a development of architectural technologies and aesthetics. I am currently teaching the Art Humanities course. It's called Masterpieces of Western Art, that undergraduate students at Columbia College take. So we're looking a lot at buildings, particularly monuments. We've been looking at the Parthenon, at the Gothic Cathedral. As we move on into the Renaissance period, we're going to be focusing on St. Peter's Basilica and the sort of urban operation that particular building effected in Rome. One of my objectives in the class is to make students aware of their built environment and develop a critical eye as to, where the physical space in which they operate on a regular basis, but also on significant moments. having received my doctoral degree here at Columbia University, I've spent many years across the street on the main campus, the School of Architecture, and for me the transition to the Hyman Center is both disciplinary and architectural in a way. Since now, to get here to my office, it's either going up a bridge and down some stairs or down a series of tunnels and then turn the corner, going up the stairs, both related to but distance from the everyday life of the university. This center provides type of a safe space, I think, for both us, the fellows, and the people who come through it to have different type of conversations and exchanges.